It is a great day to be alive, and I am so thankful for God, Jesus Christ, who lives in us. Today's video is titled Historic Records and Eiffel Tower Connections. I'm going to take a look at the month of October and just piece together all of the historic records of events that have taken place that I feel connects to this Eiffel Tower dream. Before we get started, I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing that I'm sharing is financial advice. I'm simply sharing dreams, visions, and interpretations that I feel God has given me as it relates to crypto. Now, let's get into the video. Now, I shared in this video titled Fed Repo and the Bear Market, I shared 4 different dreams. One of those dreams having to do with the date of November 3rd, this individual's birthday. Because his birthday was so close to November 4th, which represents XRP, I felt that something about him in this dream was pointing us in the XRP direction. And sure enough, on November 4th, which is an XRP date, there was a Ripple swell event that took place. Well, although it's advertised here as November 4th through the 5th, this event had a welcome reception that was set for November the 3rd. So I think that this dream stands alone as it represents a cryptocurrency XRP. So the dates of November 3rd, November 4th brings us to the first week of November. This first week of November reminds me of the dream that I shared that I had last year about international banking, national banking being gone. I believe that all this connects to XRP, Ripple, and the SWIFT system. Based on all the things that I've seen in this stream, the setting took place in November. I was looking at a November calendar. For more of what I feel God has allowed to transpire based off of this checklist is what I'm going to call it, you would have to check out this new video that is titled SWIFT and Fed Switch to the Ripple and XRP System. Again, this is a new video that is out or coming out. Now, the second dream, More and Mortgage, I shared how I was kind of confused as to why I understood something about mowing and mortgage. This individual was dragging this weird device across the grass that had no wheels. He was pulling it, and I knew that it was cutting the grass. And then I knew something about mortgage. So cutting or mowing, cutting, mortgage, how would mortgage be cut? And I shared that I felt that the answer to this would come along a little bit later, and I feel like it has. Trump administration working on 50-year mortgage to boost housing affordability. And then this was a post that he put on Truth Social on November the 8th, as he's seen here side by side with President Roosevelt, who is responsible for what we have now, what we know now as a 30-year mortgage. And again, by having this 50-year mortgage implemented, it will cause the monthly rates, the monthly payment for mortgage to be reduced or to be cut. Again, mowing mortgage or cutting mortgage. I think this is what God wanted me to understand something about this. So I'm praying that everything goes accordingly very soon so that when this is implemented, we can take advantage of it. I know Economic Ninja did a video where he addressed this 50-year mortgage idea, and how he explained it made sense what he would do in this case. But again, we have to take all these things back to God in prayer. Let God lead you on how to approach this situation. Again, mowing mortgage is the same thing as saying cutting mortgage, and I think this is what God was showing me. And the mama bear and baby bear combined with the 7-Up drink, these all have to do with some type of crash or the auto industry and the stock market, crypto market being in a crash season. After sharing this video on November the 3rd, we saw a drop in the markets. And based on this chart from KuCoin, it looks like this drop started on November the 2nd, which was my birthday. And in this video, I shared how a lot of things connected to November the 2nd. You have to go back and watch that video to understand what I'm talking about. But let's get into these historical records as it relates to these dreams, and then pulling all of this back to this Eiffel Tower dream and this crash that I saw take place. So here are some articles within the date range that I shared based on those dreams and dates that I pulled out. November 4th, November 3rd, we see crypto stocks fall as traders pivot. Bitcoin drop may be warning for stocks. Just like in my dream, are we staring the bear in the face? This brings us to the 4th dream. This is where I pulled out the idea behind this historical record, because in this dream, I was watching Reggie Miller highlights talking about how he's hands down the best 3-point shooter in the league. He is known for his historic scoring in three-point shooting. And so what I feel like God was prompting me to understand is this idea of historical records. He would go down in history as being one of the greatest three-point shooters ever. So again, looking at the month of October to the present time, we're looking at the first historical record, 36 days with the government being in shutdown. Historical record. We're going to take a look at Bitcoin. We saw that on October 5th through the 6th, Bitcoin hit an historic all-time high, $126,000. Also important to note that in the month of October, Bitcoin celebrated its 17th year after its white papers had been published. Also in the month of October, we witnessed the historic single-day liquidation that took place on October 10th. And October 10th is one of the days that is represented by one of the three candles that I've talked about as it relates to this Eiffel Tower dream. It represents the second candle. And again, that is the day that the flash crash took place and the large historic liquidation occurred. This brings us to October 29th, when the Federal Reserve announced their cut and also announced a future cut, or later on a possible future cut, December 1st, leaving many people to wonder, why is there such a rush on getting this next cut? Is something broken? Well, to answer that question, there were 5 dates in which a Fed repo was implemented. The first one, October 15th. The second and third was October 16th and October 17th. And I shared in the other video that I don't think it's a coincidence that October 17th, this date that was connected to the Eiffel Tower, was one of the days that this Fed repo took place. We know that October 17th goes along with the colors of yellow and red, which are crash indicators. Again, October 17th would become one of the 5 dates in the month of October where a Fed repo was implemented, showing signs of notable liquidity issues. Again, this is tying everything back to that Eiffel Tower. Once again, October 17th is now tying into this issue that we're seeing where the Fed repo is being implemented. So October 15th, 16th, 17th, that moves us to October 29th and October 31st. On October 31st, we saw a huge spike in rates as the Fed repo implemented 50 billion total into the market. Again, that was October 31st, where this brings us back to this idea of October 17th being represented by yellow and red as a crash, looking at it as a crash indicator. And now we can tack on Fed repo liquidity. What happened after October 31st? We begin to see that drop in the market because of uncertainty around this issue about liquidity. We saw Bitcoin drop below 100,000 down to 98,935. And that is based on this KuCoin chart. So getting back to the historical records, we see here that on October 31st, the biggest repo operation took place since 2020. It's being compared to C19 times and what happened with a Fed repo during 2020. So seeing the markets respond to this lack in liquidity, this liquidity crisis that's taking place between the banks and markets, makes me ask the question, is this now the elevator moving down? Based on what we saw starting November 1st, November 2nd, November 3rd, up through now, has the elevator opened? And is it now starting to go down? Are we going to see that third candle in the completion of this 80% drop? Continuing on with all these historical records, we're looking at AI job cuts to the point now where it's become a concern for our economy. In the month of October alone, U.S. companies announced most October job cuts in over 20 years. Again, historical record. Here we see, moving us on into November, the largest trucking capacity purge in history. U.S. layoffs for October surged to 2-decade high. And this, I saw that JB shared records for household debt. A record has been set for mortgage. That takes us back to the lawn mortgage and the Moore and mortgage dream. Records for auto loan takes us back to the bear dream. Records for student loan. Records for debt, credit card debt. We are hitting all-time highs, breaking records the month of October, on up to present time. This takes my mind back again to, would this also be a historical record? What I saw in that dream, that candle that I saw, and how far it dropped down, when you're looking at an 80% drop or more, will this crash go down as a historical record? And will it have to do with the AI bubble pop? Will it have to do with the economic liquidity crisis? For more clarity on this, I have another video that is either out or coming out titled AI plus economic crisis equals Eiffel Tower connection. And I'll explain more details in that video about some of the things that we've touched on in this video. But again, I ask the question, is the elevator now moving down? Are we getting ready now to see this third candle and the completion of this 80% drop based on what I saw in the Eiffel Tower dream? Well, that is all that I have for this video. Until the next one, God bless.